Hello there, Trevor here from Double Bill Movies. Okay, well it's time for another 39 episode. This one is Love Camp 7. Yes, one of the Nazisploitation films. And I've got Bumper's notes here in front of me, so we'll read through those, and as he touches on various things, I'll give you my views as well. And we always have 3 questions regarding these video nasties, and we'll get to them as well. So let's see what we got. So here's an overview. Heralded as the first Nazisploitation movie, Love Camp 7 sees Linda and Grace try to infiltrate a German war camp in hope of gaining information about a new jet engine. But their path will be a full-on orgy of rape and sadism, not for the faint-hearted. Yes, so actually, when I started watching this, I felt I was watching one of my regular World War II films, just a bit low budget. And I think there may be quite an element of reality in what I was watching. I do need to research it a bit more, and because obviously the Germans were developing jet engines, and there must have been many ways that we sent people to investigate and try and find out as much as we could about it. And yes, this is kind of based around that, and I was like, okay, this is quite cool. And yeah, there's just lots of sex scenes and all this, that and the other along the way. Let me just turn my brightness down because this screen is blinding me. There we go, that's better. Alright, so to the first question. Did it feel like watching a video nasty? And Bumper says, yes-ish. The movie's message is simple, simply to degrade and humiliate women, so it is nasty in that sense. Yes, that's one of the big things that these video nasties picked up on, was anything that was degrading to women was a no-no, and you know, I'd agree. But then he goes on to say, however, it feels more like softcore bondage porn than horror, with hardly any blood on show. Yes, so not all these video nasties are actually horror films, but he's right, there is very little blood, but there's some bits actually that you see blood, which has come from a certain situation that a woman's put in, which is pretty unpleasant if you think about it. When the Germans kind of got these wooden trestles, like what was going on, and then when I realised what they did, I was like, oh wow, that is definitely why it was on the video nasty list. Now, that's not just done for the video nasty sake. That's done because I imagine those kind of things happened during World War II. That's why I said this is, to me, quite realistic. And although it's a Nazisploitation film, I think it's a film that's not ashamed to show the kind of things that actually went on during World War II. You know, it wasn't all prim and proper and nice to society. It was war, and it was mostly men doing men things, and you know, it was very unpleasant. But you know, there were some amazing women during World War II as well. Anyway, to carry on, so should it be a video nasty? And Bumper says it is nasty in its message, but being made in 1969, it's more erotically gross than out repulsion. Yeah, so he's talking about the era that it's made, and that it's more just sort of gross eroticism than you know, being anything more. Anyway, it says the rape scenes are basically half-dressed men groping and fondling naked ladies whilst making funny sex noises, and those numerous degrading things like boot licking and bucket holding challenge and that kind of stuff. So yes, there's a scene where all the women have to pick up their buckets and they have to stand there. No, that wasn't a salute. That was me holding a bucket. And yes, that's just one of the many ways that the Germans were degrading the women. And again, I imagine that's something that went on. It's not just something for this film. So my answer to that is yes, this should 100% be video nasty. and I'm not surprised it's on the list. So anyway, to the third and final question: should a modern day horror fan check it out? Bumper says, not really. Unless you are deep diving Nazi exploitation movies, then it would be a must watch as one of the first. Otherwise, with its 90-minute running time, it becomes a bit of a chore. It does. What I found more of a chore were some of these sex scenes and stuff that went on. They were literally just like softcore porn, where it's just crappy writhing around, not really showing much. And, you know, it's probably a good thing that they didn't show things too graphically. But I think in their attempt to not do that and just sort of give us a longer running time, it was literally just, like I said, lots of rolling around and silly groping and crappy sounds and whatnot. And it would have been a far better film, bizarrely, had they been a bit more realistic about things. But it would have been a much harder watch, let's put it that way. Okay, so Bumper's got a summary at the end here, and it says, summary: not really as violent as some of the post-sub-genre cousins, like the Gestapo's Last Orgy. This tour de force of half-naked women being degraded and tortured in the notorious Love Camp 7 isn't half as bad as it's made out. Yes, as I just said, I think some of the torture scenes and the sex scenes aren't quite as grotesque and perhaps horrible as Bumper says with the Gestapo's Last Orgy. And of course it definitely doesn't have that dinner scene in it. But I think it's much more in line with an uncut World War II film. When you watch a World War II film from the 60s, 70s, 80s or whatever, and they're sort of going on talking about or giving you clues as to what's going on, that's kind of it. This is like an uncut version where it actually shows you, but in a slightly tame way, if you see what I mean. So anyway, he carries on to say, you do get a bit of action at the end, but otherwise it really is 90 minutes of rape and boobs, but way more boring than it sounds. Plus it has this weird narration by some American guy, which I guess was a ploy to not film lots of exposition. Yeah, I guess so. Then it says, also, just to say, Blue Underground, the Blu-ray from Blue Underground looks superb. A movie like this has no right looking as good as it does. Yes, it is a good looking Blu-ray, and can't show you that side. But I can show you the back from a distance. Yeah, there we go. So I imagine at some point this will get a 4K and I'll be all over that. Now obviously I'm into World War II more, so maybe I look at this from a completely different angle to Bumper. Now he's giving it a score of 3 out of 10, and for, yes, the boring nature of it, yes, I can see that. But no, for me, I was watching a more sophisticated film than I was expecting. I really have to say that. Just the general layout of the film, the way they go about sending the two ladies off, and the way they talk to them, and that kind of thing, I think is, you know, pretty much towing the line as to what would have happened, sending women to do this kind of thing. You know, they were warned, they knew what they were in for, and they were fully prepared to get on board. Yes, there's elements of they don't want to do it, but of course no right-minded woman would want to. But when you're there to do a specific operation, military-wise, and learn what you can, then you do what you can. That's how a lot of these things were discovered in World War II. You just had to do. and kind of never mind the consequences, or never mind what happened to you. If you could survive, then great. If you didn't survive, but somehow you managed to get the information out, then great. You know, that was it. That was so from that perspective, I think Love Camp 7 is actually so far the best Nazisploitation film I've seen. Yes, take out those boring bits, or just cut them down a little bit so you get enough of the gist, and you don't sit there for 5 minutes watching this and going, okay, they're not doing anything different, so they're doing the same thing for 5 minutes. Then it would be a far better film. Anyway, that's the end of the 39 episode for Love Camp 7. Please give us a thumbs up. The next one will be Madhouse, and that'll be on Bumper's channel, so make sure you're subscribed to Bumper's channel. It's called Bumper's Movies, if you didn't know. I'll leave a link in the description, and I shall be adding this to our playlist. So if you want to go back and start from the beginning of our 39 series, then you can. Anyway, until then, take it easy.